Good morning, Kim here. There was a couple of questions in the group, and I've actually had some messages from people that want to know a little bit more about using backdrop changer in Evoto, like a focal length, and what I'm shooting at and what my settings are and how to make it work. I think that we might be overcomplicating it a little bit because it is really, really easy, but there are some things that you need to keep in mind. So I promised to do a video today, and that's what I'm going to do. We're in my studio. I'm going to turn the camera around here in just a minute, and I'm going to show you the paper that I shoot on. I'm a primarily natural light photographer that uses constant lights for fill, okay? There are some sessions that I use strobes for. Primarily, I do not. I tend to photograph children that have seizure disorders, things of that nature, so I don't use a lot of strobes. But you can pull this off with constant light, with video fill light. You just want to watch your white balance. Let me flip around. Okay. So I'm going to back up the train here a little bit. This is my paper, okay? And I have my clients, they're about 2 foot or so off of the paper when I'm photographing them, thinking that I'm going to utilize this image in a backdrop for Evoto. Your biggest things when using a backdrop changer in Evoto are: what direction is your main light source coming from, which in this instance would be this, okay? How much you have them off the back of your backdrop is totally up to you. Depth of field, I shoot anywhere from 4.6 to 5.6 in here because I want everybody in the scene, even if it's one person. Let's say you have a family of 5 here. I want everybody to be really sharp because when you're putting this image into a background, that depth of field is going to be probably that background at SOTA 6, 6.6, 8, things of that nature. You can always create some depth of field later if you want to blur the background just a little bit. That requires more than just using Evoto, but it's possible. There's a ton of different options in Photoshop to get that kind of effect that you're looking for. You can use neural filters, all sorts of things, but we're not here to talk about that today. We're here to talk about how I shoot on seamless paper, just like this in my studio, which had a session on it, so there's stuff everywhere, okay? And I take it into Evoto. When I am shooting, okay, I am not standing on something, okay? I literally am shooting this way, standing up. Now, if the client is seated on the ground, I am going to come down and I'm going to photograph like this. I am standing a good, I don't know, I'm shooting with a 35 in here. I'm standing at least 8 to 9 feet back off of this paper. You want to make sure your perspective is right. Like, I don't want to be shooting down on my subjects that are here because most of the backgrounds that I bring in, excuse me, are shot at a perspective that are straight on, or they're created at a perspective that is straight on. The reason why your backdrops won't work in Evoto are 2 different things. One, your lights, your subject's lit from this direction and your backdrops that you're using is lit from this direction. If you find a backdrop like that, you can take it into Photoshop, you can flip it, resave it, and then take it into Evoto, okay? So you can fix your light like that. Evoto is a little bit limiting versus Photoshop. I'm told they're going to be changing some things so that you can move around your subject a little bit better in that panel. But for right now, sometimes you don't get your whole background in. I'm shooting like landscape here, okay, horizontal. I'm not trying to put that on a portrait backdrop in Evoto. I am staying with either a portrait image into a portrait background or a landscape horizontal shot image into a horizontal background. Otherwise, the limitations of Evoto will limit you, and it won't look right, and it won't make sense. However, if you do a little forethought here with the limitations we know it has, it really is a powerful tool to be able to shoot your client on this backdrop, okay, on this seamless paper, and then take them into Evoto, knowing I shot this family, okay, I shot them at 5.6, everybody's going to be in focus, at least you hope, and you're going to bring it in, you're going to choose a backdrop that makes sense for the orientation that you shot in, and the depth of field that you shot in, okay? Match your light, bring it into Evoto. You can then go to the backdrop changer panel in Evoto, which is over on the right, on mine it's on the right hand side. It's about 3 or 4 down without looking, I might be wrong, but about 3 or 4 down, okay? And you can load your personal backdrop into Evoto. Whether you've purchased it from me, whether you've purchased it from Etsy, whether you've created it through Midjourney, it doesn't matter, you can load it in. And then literally with one click, you now have your backdrop in there. You can sync it to all of your images. You do not have to do it one image at a time. And then you can look at those images and go, oh, my people need to be moved a little bit up or down or what have you so it makes sense. You can then hit AI retain shadows in Evoto and it'll put your shadows in for you. Maybe it didn't do a good job putting the shadows in for you. There's a manual mask button in Evoto as well so that you can kind of tidy that up. But it is way more efficient to do multiple backgrounds on multiple images with just a couple of clicks and then you go through and tweak a little bit than it ever has been in Photoshop. So I'm so excited about how powerful this is. I am doing all of my mini sessions for Christmas on paper and I will be doing using Evoto to change the backgrounds. So hopefully this has helped a little bit. You want to be a little bit away from your client. You want to make sure you get all of your client in. I'm not doing real up close shooting down shots, things of that nature. I'm planning ahead for how I'm going to use my background. Now, say you have images that you haven't planned ahead for. You've shot them 2 years ago and you want to use that. Use a background for it. You just need to make sure your background makes sense, okay? Make sure that you're at the right perspective. Make sure that your lighting matches the lighting that you shot your clients in, or whatever, the dog, whatever, in order for it to work. I hope this helps, guys.
Hi guys, I want to add a couple more things to the video that I took on the paper earlier. My client showed up a little bit early, so I had to stop that video, but there's some other things that I wanted to add that I wanted to splice in here. Evoto's background changer is very different than using Photoshop. That you need to not have Photoshop type expectations when using Evoto's background changer, okay? You're not going to be able to do all of the sizing perhaps and all of the moving around that you want to, but it's very powerful with being able to move your subject, back and forth, up and down, left or right. Inside that background, you can, size it to make sure that your subject looks the right size in the background. For example, you wouldn't want somebody that, their head is to the ceiling of your background. That also comes into play with the perspective of the background that you choose versus the image that you're trying to put on that background. All of these types of things are super important. It's in the background adjustments menu in Evoto. That is where you can upload your background. That is where you can make adjustments, all of those type of things. Okay, I hope that this video has helped to some degree. I'm going to be adding this video to our Evoto background changer masterclass that we have on our website. And if that's something that you're interested in, I will drop the link at the end of this as well, where you can watch me edit in the video using backdrop changer in the backdrop adjustments panel in Evoto. You can watch me put together everything, and then it also comes with some digital backgrounds so that you can try it yourself. I hope this video has been helpful and you guys have a great day.